What's going on? Welcome back to Financial Journey. So today we're going to talk to you about NIO. I want to go over some expectations for this upcoming week, what might cause some volatility in the stock price, and go over everything else you need to know. But first, make sure to hit that thumbs up. And with that, let's get right to it. So this upcoming week, there's not a lot in data points coming from China nor the States. Side note, Monday market is closed, Martin Luther King Day. And I think in general, for the rest of the week, there is a good understanding that there's going to be a post-inauguration pump. Dependent on the sector, of course, because day one, Trump is going to be signing a hell of a lot of executive orders, potentially damning some sectors. I think in the States, that whole 7,500 tax credit is going to be kind of quashed. So that could affect American EVs. And then dependent on what he does, if it was just a scare tactic or if he actually does plan on going through with a lot of tariffs, that could obviously affect NIO. So Friday, there was a lot of good momentum. So NIO on a technical standpoint kind of shows it wants to really move higher, but that and some what could come from Trump might again dampen NIO. But as far as what really caused it to go higher on Friday, I already did a video all about that. There was one thing I did want to bring up because I did miss it on Friday, and it was this right here. So I think this would add a huge amount of liquidity, capital getting into NIO, and hopefully really be somewhat of a natural deterrent against shorting. So that in reality will be good. Although, even though this did come out on Friday, I don't know the level of buying that really would have been prompted by this, because this is just expected. The actual assessment, I believe, is coming in the third week of February, if I remember right here, February 21st. So that's when the semi-annual kind of review. And then, yeah, so I think in general, that will be good, maybe as a good catalyst going into next month. But as far as right now, it's just expected. But let me know your viewpoint on that. One thing that did come out yesterday, and it looks like it was already quashed, was this. So just rumors about potentially NIO getting acquired. And even though, as you can kind of see based on the title, it was already denied by NIO executives, it does beg the question that NIO is at a very crazy discounted price, as I've often enough brought up. So the PS ratio for the future is 0.8. So that is just mind-blowing. Of course, I can show you NIO, Rivian, they're in like the 10 right now, but it's not always fair to kind of compare and contrast between the two. But still, 2025 could be interesting for NIO, because right now with a market cap of 9.17 billion, you never know. It could be a acquisition target. So let me know your viewpoint on that in the comments below. And on a side note, not to get all speculative and wear tinfoil hat or anything, but maybe that is why NIO does get often manipulated by shorts, whereas other Chinese EVs don't have the same level of shorting. So maybe someone behind the scenes really does want to bring NIO down, make it very cheap for an acquisition. But again, that's very tinfoil hat, so you just do your own due diligence at the end of the day. But moving on from here though, looking at shorts. So 12.17% of the free float is being shorted, works out to be 162.56 million shares overall are being shorted. Even on Friday, despite it gaining some pretty good momentum, shorts did increase 1.41 million shares net. So they were trying to suppress NIO, but unfortunately, no dice. Algorithmic trading was really pushing NIO higher, but cost of our average 2.17, so a little bit lower than the previous day, so Thursday. Utilization is sitting at 100%, and then through IBKR does indicate roughly around 2.4 million shares is available to be shorted. So something to kind of keep in mind going into this upcoming week. As far as what happened on Friday though, there was a huge amount of options activity. So this is all the kind of open interest kind of stuff, and where it did land at the 430 range. So that does mean everything below that 4 is in the money. So works out to be roughly around 28, 29, all combined, everything together, 29,000. So that works out to be around 2.9 million shares. So you could see a nice bump up in the stock price associated to market makers really covering those. because typically market makers don't have any volatile stock on hand readily available in their inventory, so they usually do have to go to the secondary market to buy that. So come Tuesday, you should see a nice bump up in the stock price again to accommodate that. For this upcoming week though, you do see 5,000 at that 4, 26,000 at that 450. So going into this upcoming week, 450 is going to be a key point to watch for, because market makers and shorts have a financial interest in trying to keep NIO sub 450. So again, just kind of take note of that. Right now with it at $4.36, it is trading between this pivot and this S1. So 425 is going to be the next strong support. 467 is going to be the next strong target / resistance. In my opinion, I think it is this week is going to be somewhat stagnant, if not slightly red, linked to, of course, Trump. But just watch for these support and resistance points. That $4 range, this S2, has been that kind of line in the sand, that diamond support level. So definitely watch for that. But in order for it to really get hit there, I think Trump would have to reconfirm, if not increase, kind of the level of just pressure on China. So I don't see that being done on day one, at least. That's just my opinion, of course. But going into this upcoming week, it does actually look somewhat cautiously optimistic. It's finally breaking above and off of that ALMA. So I have the ALMA, 50, 100, and 200-day moving averages. So right now, as far as kind of the next resistance point to watch for on this, 457. So I've already went over quite a lot. So you'll have 450. So that's going to be more of a psychological one linked to options. 457, and then as I brought up based on the fib levels as well. But I think NIO really does want to move higher. This downtrend right here was just very overdone. You see a lot of big gaps, and one of those big age-old things that people like to say is the gap needs to be filled. So essentially NIO could really move up here and retest that 450 range just to fill those. But as far as what happens next, it's all going to depend on the actual data, let's say registration numbers. Let's see if Onvo does continue that very good momentum from last week, and just what comes out from Trump. I think everyone, like every single sector, will be watching what he does say and what that means for the foreseeable future. So it's going to be a very volatile time. If you do believe in NIO, then take advantage. Buy the dip if necessary, or if it does gain some good momentum. One key breakout point to really watch for is if it does get above that 50-day moving average. That usually is a very big telltale sign for NIO, for it to really move up roughly around 20 to 30%. So something to kind of keep in mind. So I think NIO right now, I'm cautiously optimistic. As I mentioned a couple days back, I did do some bullish options on NIO because I feel like right now it is starting to really show some signs of really moving higher. And as far as risk versus reward at this price, I don't really see significantly more downside, but again, my crystal ball could be wrong. So let me know your viewpoint on NIO. What is your thoughts on this upcoming week? Are you bullish? Are you bearish? Do you think Trump is really going to shake up the EV sector, including China? So what's your general thoughts on all that? Don't forget to hit that thumbs up and subscribe. I always greatly appreciate that. One final thing, pop over to my Patreon where I give buy signals on stocks, options, and crypto. Many of them have been absolute bangers, so pop over there and take a look. Link in the description below and also the comments. With all that, appreciate all of you watching.